co-host. So perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So then welcome everybody to our ELISA Knowledge Bite. My name is Julia Rosenbusch from ELISA Partner FAU in Germany. And I'm very happy that you decided to use your precious lunchtime to gain and share some knowledge with us. So the ELISA Knowledge Bite is an online event series where experts from different ELISA universities give talks on topics that matter than building, growing, and teaching in ELISA communities. So it's primarily targeting at community members and those who are interested in becoming one, but of course it is also open for everyone who's interested in this topic. And for those of you who have no idea what ELISA actually is about, please visit our website, elisa.eu. So we are about to start. Just a short notice, please feel free to eat and drink during the presentation. If you have a question, please use the chat or raise your digital or real hand. But now, enough from my side. I'm very happy to welcome Alma CATALA LUNA and Laura Tierling from ELISA Partner PSL, who will give us an insight into the topic of blended intensive programs. So hello, Alma, hello, Laura, the stage is all yours.
Hi, hello, Julia, and hello, everyone. And also thank you, Laura, to be with me to support me during the presentation. So the idea today was to give you a quick overview about what is the BIP, because we listen about that a lot this last months, because it's a new initiative that has been set up by the European Commission through the Erasmus Plus program. So we think from ELISA that it could be really an amazing tool to develop new pedagogical activities and mobilities among the consortia, and well, not just for the ELISA partners, because it's a tool that can be used for every higher education institution, and we really think that it's going to be an amazing tool to change a little bit mobility in the classical way that we know today. So as Julia proposed, please don't hesitate to interrupt me if you have some questions, because I know in the participant people that I already know, but other new are revans, and maybe you have some more specific questions. So today we would like to tell you about a BIP. So what is a BIP? Who and how can organize a BIP, and who and how can participate to a BIP as a learner, and also what kind of funding you can get if you are organizing and if you are participating to a BIP. Then we would like to explain you a little bit how ELISA is concerned by the BIPs, and how we would like to use the BIP as a tool to accelerate mobility in the consortia, and maybe to give you some quick also information or thoughts about how to set up a BIP, and what can you do and what can you not do if you want to implement a BIP. Okay. So concerning BIP, so blended intensive programs, it's a new initiative who has been set up by the European Commission in the framework of the Erasmus Plus program. And for people who really know the technical part of Erasmus, this initiative are inside the key action that we 131. So this key action is the key action mobility for learners. And at the end, the blended intensive program is a short course or pedagogical activity that combines physical mobility with a virtual component. So if you want to implement a BIP can be used as an innovative way of learning and teaching, and may include challenge-based learning, where transnational and transdisciplinary teams work together to take challenges. For example, the challenges that are linked with the Sustainable Development Goals, and as you know, in ELISA also is focusing a lot on that topic. To be more concrete, when we are talking about physical mobility, it should be short-term mobility, so from 5 days up to 30 days, like a maximum. And then this physical mobility should be combined to a compulsory also virtual component. And this virtual component is supposed to facilitate collaborative online teamwork between the participants in the BIP. A BIP can be organized just from one higher education institution, but should involve at least 3 different countries and 3 different higher education institutions or university, and who can coordinate and organize a BIP. It could be a single higher education institution, but also a consortium where one institution will be coordinating also the consortia. Yeah, just to explain that also, that there is not a specific duration for the virtual component, but what is mandatory for the virtual component is that the learners should work online collectively and and at the same time. I mean, you cannot, for example, think about the virtual part as a MOOC or as a work that each participant is going to do by himself. You really need to have the people collaborating at the same time in a virtual room or in a virtual space. The minimum number of participants will be 15, and the maximum will be 20. And if you are organizing a BIP, as it's a pedagogical activity or courses, you need to get, or you need to think about the credits, because the participants need to get credits, and the minimal amount is 3 credits. You can give more, but at least students participating to a BIP should get 3 ECTS. So Laura, yeah.
Just to specify, you can the BIP can have more participants than 20, but the funding is only up to 20. Yeah. So if we want to accept 30 students, there's no problem. And when we are talking about 15 participants, we talk about participants who are mobile, so who go to another university. So when you are organizing the BIP, you can open it to your students as well, but they don't count as participants for the national agency.
Yeah, for the organizational support. So we are going to check this funding part. Yeah, there is other question about that. If not, so who can organize a BIP? In fact, all the let's say professors, researchers who are engaged and involved in a higher education institution, they can organize a BIP. They just need to check if their university has been granted with an Erasmus charter. In the case of ELISA, all the partners from ELISA get an Erasmus charter, so they can participate in that initiative. And the higher education institution who is willing to organize a BIP should apply for the BIP through the annual Erasmus Plus application for mobility. So for the key action 331. So for people who are in the technical part and working maybe in international office, you know already what is that, what is the key action and how it works. For the other, just briefly, when you want to get Erasmus funds for mobility, annually you are going to ask to have this kind of fundings to your national agency who is representing the European Commission in your country for the Erasmus program, and once by year you ask for this funding to this national agency. And when you are going to prepare that project, and when you are going to apply for that funding, you can introduce in your proposal the BIPs and to ask for a BIP to your national agency. Okay, and it's important also that maybe you are thinking about organize a BIP, but not being or having the role like the organizational higher education institution. So maybe you just want your students being participating in a BIP, but you don't want to organize yourself your BIP. That is also possible. But then you need to check when you are preparing your proposal for Erasmus Plus Key Action, you also to think about how many students you will have participating in a BIP, because the part for mobility, the travel cost and the individual cost are supported by the normal mobility grant and not by the BIP part. Okay. Concerning more the organizational part, the coordinator organization should okay, you can organize a BIP with at least 2 other partners universities located in 2 other different countries, but you can involve more than 2 partners. You can have 3, 4, 5. There is not really a limitation for the number of participants. Organization for participant institution. Yeah. Sorry. But then when you want to organize a BIP, you don't need a multilateral agreement between all the partners involved in a BIP. You can base or you can use your regular bilateral Erasmus agreements, because finally the BIP mobility are going to be considered as other kind of mobility, and you just need to have this bilateral agreement. We know with Laura, because some of our colleagues in other universities in other countries, they explain us that their national agency asked them to at least have a writing agreement. It could be an email stating that these 3 universities agree to set up together a BIP, but this is not compulsory in all the countries, and not all the national agencies are asking about that. Then who can participate to a BIP? So all the students and staff of the higher education institutions who are located in participating, but also in program countries, but also in participating countries, can be enrolled in a BIP and can participate in a BIP. And as I say before, if you are a student who is willing to participate in a BIP, the process will be the same like to any kind of mobility. You need to check if your university is organizing a BIP, or to check what kind of BIP exists, and you need to identify the BIP. Then you need to apply to the BIP, and then when your application has been approved, so you are going to register, and then you need to prepare your online learning agreement, etc. So you need, as a student or as a staff, you need first to contact your international relations office in order to know if your university is enrolled in a BIP as a participant or as a coordinator, and then to have your application and to register and to prepare your online learning agreement. And then when you during the duration of the BIP, so you need to follow your BIP, and it's mandatory to follow both parts, the face-to-face and the virtual part. You cannot, as a learner decide, or as a student decide, okay, I'm just interested by the face-to-face, but not by the virtual component. It is mandatory to participate to both parts. Otherwise, you will not get the funding and you will not get the CTS. I think there is a question. Both, sorry, yeah, both. I didn't precise. Staff mean academic staff, but also administrative staff. So all staff involved can participate in a BIP. And then after your BIP, when you have finalized your BIP, so you need you will pass any kind of evaluation, because as far as you are going to have ECTS, there is needed also to have a kind of evaluation of your BIP, and you will get a transcript of record, and with this transcript and the certificate of participation, your sending university, so you're is able to recognize that ECTS and to include those ECTS in your curricula. Oh, the OLA, sorry, is the online learning agreement. So it's a learning agreement. I mean, like in a normal Erasmus mobility, the student need to have a document explaining, okay, I am going to do I'm coming from Madrid and I'm going to do a BIP in Paris, and I am going to follow that courses, and the total amount of ECTS is 3 or 4, and you need to have that document signed by the student, the sending institution, and also the host institution. So it's like yes, like a normal Erasmus learning agreement. Then concerning the funding, so there are different parts of the funding for BIPs. As I say, students who are participating to a BIP or staff participating to a BIP, they get an individual support, okay? And this individual support, Diana, the OLA is filled also in the Erasmus dashboard. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay, but you know also like me that for the moment the dashboard for the online learning agreement is not really working, and everyone in Europe has this program because the platform is not really working right now. But at the end, the idea, yes, is to use also the dashboard for that kind of mobilities. Then, so if I come back to the funding, so students participating to a BIP, they obtain or they get an individual support for their mobility, and then is the sending institution who provide this individual support, and they should use the normal Erasmus funds, okay? Each participant can get 70 euros by day, and if the face-to-face part, so the mobility is during more than 15 days, from the 15 days they are going to get 50 euro and not 70, so they are going to get less money for the days okay, if for example your BIP is lasting 3 weeks, you will get 70 euros for the first 2 weeks, and for the 3rd week you are going just to get 50 euros by day, okay? And for a staff, it will be more or less the same, but depending in the home university and in the host country, you are going to get more or less money. That's why it's between 70 or 160. And then concerning the travel support, it should be also provided by the sending organization by using also the normal Erasmus funds, but not all the students can get this travel support. It's like for the Erasmus normal mobility or for the Erasmus long-term mobility, the students who can get travel support need to fit specific requirements, and this is travel support is oriented to the students with special needs. Okay, and then what is maybe difficult is that this special need, this notion about the special need is not the same for every country. For example, the French National Agency has defined 9 criteria to be considered as students with a special need, but in other countries, they consider students having special needs in a different way. So for that, you need to really check with your national agency when they consider that a student has special needs or not, and when you can give to the students this travel support or not. And what is quite strange also, but the students also can get 50 euro for the green travel. Individual support also for traveling days. Yes, as in a usual Erasmus project. But then, okay, if you think about EELISA partners, we are more or less located not really far away. So for the traveling days, maybe you can count half day for one way and half day for the other way, and at least you will have maybe one traveling day, but not more than that. But if, for example, you are organizing a BIP with a participating partner country coming outside Europe, then yes, you can declare other traveling days. Yeah, in general, green travel is when you take the train and when you use transport with lower carbon impact. But finally, when you are traveling, there are not really too much option other than the train, because to take a flight is considered like not really green. And I think that I don't know, for example, if you take the bus, that's a good question, and I will check, because I don't know if, for example, if you take bus or not, if it's considered green or carpooling. Yeah, you are right. I need to check the definition of green travel. It's defined in the Erasmus program, but I don't remember now. Laura, maybe you remember that.
No, I don't remember. I have another question which just popped up like this. Is there something in the Erasmus program like staff with special needs, or is it only for students?
This notion of a special need, I think that applies for both staff and students, but it's true that we talk more about that concerning the students that are coming from disadvantaged backgrounds, that, for example, they have not enough resources for travel. I don't really know, because the national agencies send us a definition of what is a student with a special need, and the French National Agency didn't provide, I think, any input about if staff can be considered as having a special need. But for example, I think, yeah, for a staff that maybe has other kind of a special need, because a lot of time when we think a student with a special need, we think a student with really low resources to do a mobility, but there are also special needs, for example, students who has any kind of disability, and I think that can apply for a staff for sure. What is not clear for me is how you define that the staff has not enough resources to do mobility and that kind of things. But for the other kind of needs, yeah, of course, staff is also concerned by this travel support. Yep, and then about the organizational support. So because when you are organizing this BIP, you can get what they call the organizational support, and you can get 400 euros per participant. And then you can get that amount for a maximum of 20 participants. And for example, as you say before, Laura, if my university, I would like to organize a BIP, I need to have at least 15 participants for a maximum of 20 participants, and I will get the money for the 20 participants. But if I would like to have a student from my institution participating in a BIP, they are not counted in the neither in the 15 or in the 20, they are not counted inside, okay? And you cannot get organizational support for them, okay? And important question that is connected with that is how or what kind of costs are related to this organizational support. So in their organizational support, the costs that are inside could be the costs related to the preparation, to the design, to the development or implementation and follow-up of the program. Okay, and the specific cost, this cost include, for example, the production of documents or educational material, to rent the room, to rent equipment, if you would like to organize field trip during the face-to-face part of the BIP, for the communication activities, if you need, for example, to have some services for translation or interpretation, or also for preparatory visits, or also administrative tasks. Okay. And then concerning ELISA and BIPs, just to give you the information, if we have maybe some professor participating to the knowledge bite, just to let you know that there are already some ELISA partners who already ask in their proposals to have BIPs, because in fact, when you are asking for a BIP to your national agency, at that moment, at the moment of application for a BIP, you don't need to describe what will be your course about, with which university are you going to develop or not your blended intensive program. You just need to indicate it. Me in Paris, I would like to organize 2 BIPs, and I will have in each BIP 20 participants. So during the last call of proposal in last February, and even the year before, some ELISA institution already asked for a BIP, even if they didn't know exactly which BIP is going to be developed or not, just to give the opportunity to our professor and to our staff to develop that kind of initiative if they would like to do. And then you can find here that almost all the ELISA partners ask for a BIP in their proposals. And then if you are coming from some of these ELISA partner universities, you can get in touch with your international relations office or the Erasmus office and say, okay, I have an idea for a BIP, and I know that you already applied for a BIP, and I would like to help you to develop that kind of initiative. But if your institution didn't get a BIP yet, they didn't ask for any fundings for BIPs, still you can participate to a BIP. Not maybe you will not be able to organize a BIP, but your students will be able to participate in a BIP. And if you are a professor, for example, coming from E2 or FIU, and you are in contact with people from Madrid, and you would like to develop a specific blended intensive program, you still can do it, because your students can participate to a BIP and can get the money for a BIP. So yeah, concerning the annual proposal that you need to submit, normally it's around February. But for example, if Madrid, they ask for 2 BIPs. I'm sorry, maybe you are not coming from Madrid, but I see your name. I don't know why. I imagine you are maybe coming from Madrid. But anyway, if, for example, you are coming from Madrid, and you will see here that Madrid already asked for a BIP. So you don't need to wait until next February. You can directly contact your international relations office and say, okay, it seems that you already have some funding for BIPs, and I have an idea. and it's possible. You don't need to wait for February. But imagine that, I don't know, that you contact your office and they told you, I'm sorry, but we already use the 2 BIPs and we don't have any BIPs for the moment available for funding. Then yes, you need to wait until next February. So your international relations office will include the BIPs in this call for proposal, and they ask for the money in February, and then normally you get an answer around July for activities who also start in July. So for example, February 2023 for activities who will start around July 2023. No, you can do a BIP during all the year. You don't need to wait for summer, or really you can think about this face-to-face part wherever you want to. And as I said before, if your institution already get funding for a BIP, you can organize that when you want. So concerning the part how to set up a BIP, so the idea is, for example, if you are a professor that you have an idea and maybe you have been already in contact with some of your colleagues about, I don't know, to put in common a courses, or just having students from another institution participating in a courses. So you need first to have this idea rising, to define a topic, then to search or to define your partners, because maybe you don't need to search, you already have it, but you need to define with whom you are going to work, and then together you need to design the courses. And when I'm talking about design, what our national agency explained us is that maybe you don't need to have the 3 professors thinking about the face-to-face part. Is like, for example, you already have a course who already exists, and you would like to open it to other European students, and then you are in contact with a professor from other country, and he say, okay, but in fact it makes sense that my students follow your courses, and then as it makes sense, and we would like to be working together in the virtual part, and then what you are going to develop together with your colleague is maybe the virtual component. Or it can be in the other way, that maybe you are organizing already a virtual courses with some of your colleagues, and what you need to think about is about the face-to-face part, and what the students are going to do together in face-to-face basis. And concerning the application phase, so as I say, you need to check first with your international relations office if they have BIPs or not, or if they don't have, so the calendar to apply, and then you can set up your BIP. And maybe trying to give more inputs about how to set up a BIP. As we say before, so a BIP should have an added value compared to already existing program courses, and should be based in innovative ways of learning and teaching. It can be also based in research-based learning, or also project-based learning. And as we say, the activity that you would like to develop need to address societal challenges, and to have this approach on, okay, we would like together to give an answer to some challenges, to some problems and issues that society is facing today. And as I say also, it is possible to design a BIP from the beginning, basic or nothing, and if not, you can use an existing courses, or an existing pedagogical activity that you already are setting up, but you would like to reinforce that courses by giving to that courses an intercultural approach and by adding this virtual or face-to-face component. And for example, the existing part can be a summer school, a short-term courses. For example, some ELISA partners are also involved in the Athens program. So for example, if you are running an Athens program, you can also think about use as a base your Athens courses and to add the virtual component to build a BIP. But also you can use maybe the student project or other regular courses. I mean that even, for example, courses who are lasting for 1 year, you can have students in virtual basis and then organize the face-to-face part. For example, in order to make students participate in virtually to work together at least during 5 days in face-to-face basis. So that example could be Athens plus BIP. Yes, the idea is that for example, if you are I am arriving. If you are organizing Athens courses, you can use your Athens courses as a basis and to add a virtual component, and there you get a BIP. The only thing is just be aware that for an Athens courses, the amount of ECTS, it may change, but it's normally around 2 ECTS. And then for a BIP, you need to have 3 ECTS. So it means that if you are adding a virtual part, the virtual part at least should be around 1 ECTS, and you need to think about a virtual part who is lasting at least, if we consider that 1 ECTS is around 20, 25, 30 hours of workload, so you need to think about a virtual part of that amount of time. I don't know if it's clear or not. And also, sorry, Julia, you have also, how much time should lie between the online and offline components of the BIP? Mm. That's a good question, and I don't have the answer. Yeah, okay. They don't really explain if there is some minimum lapse of time between. Laura, you get the answer maybe.
Yes,
you have the answer.
We talked about it yesterday. So first of all, the virtual component can take place before the mobility as well. It doesn't have to be afterwards.
After, yeah, right.
And what is important is that it would be still in the duration of the Erasmus call. So for Athens, for example, we talked about it, like there are Athens courses which take place in March and in November. So the mobility could take place in March, and the virtual component could take place in the same time as the November session, but it would have to be covered by the same Erasmus call. This is important.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, we have the answer. Okay. So about what is possible to do and what is not possible to do. So as I say, it's important to keep in mind that there are a specific number of credits, and then that normally the credits are based in a specific duration of the activity, including the student workload and also the total number of hours dedicated by the students, and that normally we consider today that 1 ECTS is more or less equivalent to 25 to 30 hours. So I let you calculate if the minimum is 3 ECTS, so you need to think about an activity that at least will be around 75 hours or 19 hours. And what is also important, because you are getting ECTS, is that you need also to think about the kind of evaluation and how you are going to evaluate. First, to define the learning outcomes, and second, to define how you are going to evaluate if these learning outcomes has been reached or not. Yep, Laura?
I have in mind that it won't be possible to do the a test or an exam online and count it as virtual component? Because this wouldn't mean that the learners are working together and collaborating.
Yeah, the important part of the virtual part, in fact, is that the students need to be really working together. And as Laura said, when you are passing an evaluation, you are not working together. The students are not working together. So I don't know, if you are thinking about an exam, the 2 hours of the exam cannot be counted. And for example, if you are thinking more about an evaluation based in a project that, for example, the students need to work on a project, if the students are working together and produce something, yeah, you can count it that. I think about, for example, you know, when the students are also the evaluation method consists in provide a small report or things like that. I think that, for example, to produce the report, the students are really working together, and during this work together, they have the mentorship of the professor. You can count that in the 3 CTS, but of course, 2 hours exam and things like that, you cannot put it inside. So what you cannot do is to fund the participation to a conference. For example, the National Agency explained that if you have some researchers organizing a conference and then saying that for the virtual part, they will just work together in a co-publication, but that they are not really working at the same time, and this kind of things, is not possible to fund. That's not really a BIP, okay? Because you need really the virtual part need to be something really collaborative and synchronized. The activities should be synchronized. For example, you cannot propose as the virtual part a MOOC. For example, you say, okay, the face-to-face will be okay, they will be in a classroom, and we are going to organize the courses, and then for the virtual part we are just going to provide a MOOC, and the students will look to the MOOC individually. That is not possible. For the virtual part, they really need to be working together, okay? And yeah, our national agency also alert us about BIPs that propose really a virtual part with a really low time dedicated. For example, they have been dealing with some institutions who propose a BIP with 1 week face-to-face, but just 3 hours in virtual. And okay, the Erasmus guidelines didn't give any specific duration for the virtual part, but they consider that 3 hours is maybe not sufficient for that. For the moment, they cannot declare the BIP as ineligible, but maybe in the future they will give that kind of details in order to clarify the things and the process. So here I give you some examples. I'm not going to enter on that right now, but there are some examples of BIP. Some institutions already set up that, so you can you will check that later. And yeah, I think that from us for the moment is everything. I don't know if you have a specific question, or if maybe I can ask you if you already have some BIP ideas, if you are currently working on a BIP and so on. How can we cover the staff cost for production of documents like intellectual output if the BIP? So Diane, I think that your question is, for example, me, UPB, I organize a BIP. Normally the organizational cost cover what is the designing and the creation of the pedagogical materials. So I think that that part, the production of documents or the production of intellectual outputs is covered by the organizational support. If your question is even more than that and it's about UPB organize and get the money for the organizational cost, but there are colleagues from Madrid who are also participating in the definition of the BIP and in producing some intellectual outputs, how that part is covered. I think that is also about is inside the organizational cost, but at that moment, I think it's a discussion that you need to have with your partner and how are you going to share this organizational cost or not. And I think that as the blended and tested program is something new, that kind of question, I think that for the moment, I don't know if we can find an answer in the guidelines, but it's something that we can ask for confirmation to our national agencies. Yeah, you know, I didn't read anything like that neither in the guidelines. So I think that the best thing is to ask to the national agency. My first thought will be that if you get money for the organizational cost, that maybe it's possible to share that part with your partners. But it's my first thought, but I need to check. Yeah, Diana, sorry. Oh, we cannot hear. Okay, perfect.
Sorry, I prefer to ask you instead of writing. So I have another question because I'm writing now a proposal for a BIP inside the ELISA community. That's why I have many questions. So after I read the guidelines and I have some discussions here, I also remain with some doubts. So if this BIP is developed inside a community, is it possible to cover some cost from the budget of ELISA mobility, ELISA community, or not? And I think this is for Julia.
Yes, thank you, Diana. Well, there is at the moment, no joint budget for communities. So every single university have for work package for communities a specific budget. So it's upon the institution, for example, UPB, if they are willing to give some extra funding. If we will be able to have joint funding, then yes, I guess it will be possible to get this extra money.
Okay, thank you.
As far as I know, for example, here in PSL, we are also giving some fundings to the communities that are not coming from the ELISA funding. So it's possible, and for us, we consider that it's possible to have that funding and also cumulated with the BIP funding, and that is possible. And I think that's something that we need maybe to explore, is because normally you cannot cumulate two fundings coming from the European Commission. The national agency, they explained that yesterday. So you cannot cover the same cost with two different budgets coming from European funding. So it raises the question that, for example, if we are launching a joint call for communities, and if the community get a fund, as far as the funding for the joint call, I think a part is coming also for the Erasmus program. Can the community cumulate the funding coming from the ELISA and the funding coming from Erasmus Plus program? And I think that's a question. I think that what is clear is that you cannot cover maybe the same cost with the same funding. And what I already think, but I didn't have the time to check that with your agency, is about the travel cost, because I really found that the weak part of the BIP is that if you are not a student with a special need, the travel costs are not covered. You can and then if you are organizing a BIP, you need also to think how to cover travel cost. And our national agency, they told us, okay, but if you count 70 euros by day, if the students are going abroad 5 days, at least it's an interesting amount of money. Yeah, that's true, but maybe it will not cover completely travel costs and subsistence costs. So the question for me will be, if you organize a BIP, can you cover travel cost with the ELISA part of funding? And that will be, yeah, and we will ask that to our national agency with Laura, and it's an information that we can give you later.
But sorry, but can we cover travel cost with short-term mobility from Erasmus mobility?
But the problem with short-term mobility, that short-term mobility is possible just for PhD candidates. A student at master level, as far as I know, they cannot benefit from short term. So yes, if, for example, you organize an activity in the community and the participating students are PhD students, you can cover that mobility with that funding.
Because I understand that also master and bachelor students can go with short-term mobility. So I think I understand wrong.
I think that it was that only PhD students were concerned by that possibility of short-term mobility. I don't know, but I know that I think that there are also yeah, I can share the presentation, of course. I don't know, Julia, there is a drive or something for the Knowledge Bite where we can share the presentation, or?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I already asked Laura if you can send me a presentation and today's recording, and then we will upload it on the ELISA website. I will share the link in a second.
Okay,
thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Carlos, I see it also like that. It's a kind of cocktail of funding. But I mean that if you are involved in a community, yeah, it seems like that difficult, but I think that you can get the support from the International Relation Office of your university in order to give you the guidelines about the BIPs, how it works, because BIPs are considered, as I say before, as any kind of Erasmus mobility. So you will have the support of your International Relation Office. And at least you will you will share your pain with your International Relation Office also, that we try to help you with that, because for us it's also something new. So, and we are also dealing with that. I don't know if there is any other question or not. Okay, perfect. You already give the link for today. Perfect.
Yes, and perfect. We are right on time. Perfect, Alma and Laura. So thank you very much for these really, really interesting insights. And again, thank you all for having spent your lunchtime today with us. So if you have any further questions or want to learn more about ELISA communities, you can write us an email to elisa@fau.de, or go on our website, elisa.eu. And as I wrote in the text, the recording and the PowerPoint presentation will be uploaded on the ELISA website as well. So again, thank you very much. Have a wonderful week and enjoy the sun if you have any. And we will see you in 2 weeks again. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.